Revolution Broadcasting. The revolution won't be televised, but it will be broadcast.
Okay, Tommy, welcome to Retake Congress, of course. Tommy Cryer, the infamous Tommy Cryer, gentleman who took the IRS to the mat several years ago and has been a staunch supporter of freedom, truth, and liberty, working in the realm of the tax movement and waking people up as to where we are in regards to our fight to... I have a little girl here who's playing with her puppy in the studio, and I apologize about the cuteness that's emanating over the airwaves right now. Tom Cryer, talk to us a little bit about where you are these days in your life, projects that you got going on, and your stance on the Retake Congress movement. Thank you for your endorsement. Welcome to RevolutionBroadcasting.com.
Hi, Tom. It's Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
Hi, hon. Go ahead.
Say again?
You have the floor, Tommy. You have the floor. Tell us what you got going on and your takes on Retake Congress.
Well, there's so much going on right now. Right now, I'm, as a matter of fact, I'm in Kansas City attending a conference of the Constitutionalist Networking Center where we've got a number of state legislators that are assembled, and we're working up on legislation for them to use to trim, the federal government's tail feathers, and to start to flex some of their state sovereignty, and which is a good thing. But there's so much going on right now. You've got the Retake Congress move that's going on. You've got Bob Schultz's efforts to assemble representatives of the states in order to mount a major publicity draw to make the people aware that the federal government has outgrown its riches. We have Truth Attack, of course. We just finished a few months ago with our Operation Stop Thief 2, where we put groups of people from almost every corner of the freedom movement in front of 1,200 post offices and handed out over 2 million flyers, letting people know that there are problems with the way that the Internal Revenue Service is applying the income tax to millions and millions of people that it never applied to. And so we've seen an awful lot of stuff going on. But, of course, right now, what's been taking up most of my time and most of my effort lately has been Truth Attack's big project coming up in the last week of October, first week of November. We're calling it Tea Party Squared. And what we're going to do is a 1,000-mile motor march for 2 weeks. We'll be going all the way around the state of Florida. Go down the Gulf Coast, come back up the Atlantic Coast. And all of these Tea Party rallies that we're going to be holding all the way around the state are going to then gather up for one Tea Party Squared finale rally in Jacksonville. And we're going to make so much racket that even the mainstream media, which has a blackout on the freedom movement, is going to have to pay some attention. That was going to be webcast on your network, Sam, and we're looking forward to seeing and letting the people see how Americans act whenever their rights are being stepped on.
There you go. There's a little bit of that righteous indignation, and maybe we can throw some shrimp on the barbecue too. What do you think?
Well, when you're right, you can afford to be indignant, and we're right.
I love the Tea Party Squared thing, Tom. I think you got something really big with this Tea Party Squared thing going on.
Oh, we're excited about it, Amanda. I wish I could take credit for coming up with that name, but our state coordinator, Dr. Richard Wirt, in Inverness, Florida, came up with that idea. And as a matter of fact, he even came up with a subtitle, Truth Attack, The Next Level.
Oh, good.
And then, of course, within 6 months to 9 months, we hope, after that, we're going to hit Florida again with Tea Party Cubed. And I can't tell you anything about that other than to say that that's going to be the blow of mercy, the coup de grace for the income tax, at least in Florida.
Oh, good.
Tom, let me ask you, Tommy Cryer, why Florida. Why is this experiment kicking off in the state of Florida?
Well, this project was, it wasn't really her idea, this project, but it was her idea. This lady in Florida, a case I was working on down there in February, piped up and says, I'm thinking of selling one of my rent houses, and I'm going to buy a motorhome. If I do that, would you take that motorhome and just tour across the country and go spread the word? Well, that idea was a seed that grew into this Tea Party Squared project. Now, the lady that was in Florida at the time is also a very long-legged, beautiful blonde. And so, that's a good enough reason, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, my.
But, all right, there are some other reasons, too. Florida, for one thing, we knew we needed about a 6-month lead on this. That was going to put us into the fall. So we couldn't do it in Maine. We certainly weren't going to do it in Alaska. We were looking for a climate that would be more hospitable in the fall.
Yes.
And so Florida was there. We're still on the cusp of the season, so it's not going to cost us a fortune for rooms and other facilities. But at the same time, you also have a bunch of snowbirds that are already down there by October. Now, these snowbirds are going to be there whenever all this fruit is going to be broadcast over radio stations, television stations, and throughout newspapers all across the state as we march around. And they're going to then, when you go back home in the spring, they're going to take that fruit with them. And so we have an opportunity in Florida. But another reason that Florida is there is that Florida is one of the few states that does not have an income tax that is dependent upon and tied to the federal income tax structure. So it doesn't have a dog in the hunt. In other words, Florida has no reason to preserve and protect the IRS's myths and lies that it uses to fool people into, just giving up their labor. You give up your labor, isn't that, don't they call that slavery?
Tom, explain that to us. I mean, you know what you're talking about. You've been an attorney for many years. You've been fighting this fight for many years. To a layman such as myself, who is listening to you, I didn't get the connection there, or the lack of connection between Florida and the feds. Explain that in a little more detail, and why is that situation in other states?
Well, let's just take my state, for example. Take Louisiana, please. Louisiana has a state income tax, and the starting point for your state income tax return is to take, I think it's line 16, adjusted gross income from your federal tax return, and to enter that number. Now, that's your starting point.
Oh.
So I don't file a state tax return either,
Okay.
because I don't have an adjusted gross income. So if the law doesn't make me liable, and according to the law, only those liable are required to file tax returns, then I'm not filing a federal 1040, and I don't have a starting number for my state tax.
Interesting.
So the state of Louisiana, if the federal tax folds up and goes away, the state of Louisiana doesn't have an income tax, because they don't have a starting number for people to fill out on their form. So the other states, for example, take, I think it's New Mexico, or no, it's Arizona, I believe, they have a state income tax that says that whatever it was it turned out that you owed to the federal government, multiply that times 0.26, and that's how much you owe us.